Welcome to Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, sponsored by the UI Radio Network at uiradionetwork.org. Catch us on Facebook and Instagram at United Intentions and Twitter at Higher Intention. Look for us on 99.1 FM, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, and many more. Over the next hour, we'll introduce you to some fascinating people and engaging discussions that may provide you with answers to assist in revolutionizing your own personal health. And now, here's Dr. Nelson.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash, the host of Health Matters on the UI Media Network. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you, particularly during these rather interesting times. And I say interesting because I don't remember a time in my life where I was paying attention to my friends on the West Coast as fires burn, now in Colorado. And at one point, a matter of, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had 6 major events in the Gulf and the Atlantic. And then we have COVID-19 that's accelerating now. And I don't know if I should even mention that next Tuesday we have the official presidential election. So there's a lot of room for crazy right now. And as many of you know, there is crazy in abundance. So we're going to talk about navigating these turbulent times and what you can do to enhance your relatedness and your ability to communicate effectively without killing someone in close proximity. So listen, for those of you that are catching my show here in Atlanta on WGJY FM 99.1 or in Kentucky and Ohio on WTTA 101.2 FM, welcome. And thank you for being there for me. I know I've had a lot of you say, when are you going to go to every week again? And I don't have an answer for that yet. I've got a lot of my plate right now, but I promise you I'm looking at going back to a show per week. And just so you know, if you follow me, you can follow me on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram or Facebook. I really do average a show a week because I'm usually on not only my show at least every other week, but I have lots of people who invite me on their wonderful shows. And I usually post those on YouTube. And I know I've been a little derelict. I'll get better at that. But they're also on my Facebook timeline. And you're always welcome to follow me there and check out any shows that I've done. I'm particularly happy with the last few shows. They've been really wonderful. The people who have interviewed me were just really good sports and asked me lots of great questions. And I'm going to do the same for my guest today. So listen, if you have any questions, as many of you know, but if you don't, we're on Facebook Live. You're welcome to put your comments there and ask your questions there. And if you'd like to ask us a question directly, you can call us at 678-495-4345. All right. So my guest today is really incredible. And I told her this, and I'm going to tell you this. Someone said to me a few weeks ago, they said, Nelson, who's your number one pick? Who do I need to pay attention that you follow on social media? And I said, that's an easy question. And they said, really? Like there's one I said, absolutely, Dr. Abby Medcalf. Why is she your number one pick? And I said, another easy question, because she consistently puts out information that if used effectively in your life will change your life. I know what you're thinking. How? How does Abby Medcalf do this? She does it in the following ways. Number one, she's really smart. Number two, she's easy to look at, so you can focus on what she's saying most of the time. And thirdly, I should say, because she has advice that actually works in the real world. She can teach you how to get out of your own way, how to relate to yourself better, and how to relate to anybody from your kids to your employees to your boss to even your best friend when you have that argument that you're really embarrassed later about and you're like, God, why did I do that? She or he's my best friend. I can't believe I did that. So anything, any area, parents, spouse, anywhere you're having trouble, we're going to talk about that. We're going to look about that. And yes, we're even going to talk a little bit about politics, not about candidates. I'm not interested in that. That's up to you as individuals. But we're going to talk about how to even deal with situations where suddenly you might be in a room and it starts to get a little intense because the person or people you're talking to don't agree or support the candidate you support, and it goes a little sideways. How do you navigate that? So let me introduce her, and I'll do so first by reading her bio. She is Dr. Abby Medcalf, Ph.D., is a psychologist with over 25 years of experience working with both the private and public sector, helping individuals break through in every relationship. Due to her diverse background in both counseling and business, Abby brings a unique perspective to relationship issues and has established a clear system for change, which creates meaning and happiness in people's lives. Best known for Combining the latest research with her hands-on experience, Abby synthesizes large tracts of information to easy-to-follow techniques and practical tools that anyone can use to bring about crucial change in their relationships. She has created a proven system for achieving happiness, meaning, and fulfillment in any relationship, which she outlines in her program, 31 Days to Great Relationships. Abby has been seen on both ABC and CBS News and is a popular keynote speaker presenting at many organizations throughout the United States, including Apple, PG&E, American Airlines, Kaiser, United Airlines, Chevron, Clorox, and AT&T. Dr. Abby Medcalf, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm always so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome. It's such a pleasure. You're so robust with energy. You know, I say this. You know, I mean, you're always so alive. You're full of that vibrancy that seems to be lost in today's world. I see a lot of people walking around not capable of eye contact for fear that you may give them something that they may regret for the rest of their life. You know, it's so funny. Abby, I know you don't go out in nature. I mean, you're a city girl. I get it. But I've gone on walks, you know, like on trails, and people look at you like you're not wearing a mask, man, and we're 3 miles out. Am I going to die by being exposed to your breath? I mean, it's like crazy times, and I want to have fun with you. And I say fun not only because
it is crazy times.
Yes, because I'm that guy, Abby. I'd rather laugh and be playful than be crazy and stressed. So let's have fun, let's play, and let's come up with a lot of solutions and great information to help people navigate the world of crazy now. So the first thing I wanted to know is, what kind of problems are the people you see dealing with? What does your life look like with regard to counseling these days? What shows up on your doorstep?
I think the biggest things that are coming up are people, this uncertainty is wearing on everyone. Right. So what I call, pandemic fatigue or corona burnout, it's also called, right? That, so people are arguing, they're snappier than snapping at folks. They're more irritable. Maybe you're not sleeping as well, or you're sleeping too much. A lot of people have, gained a little weight or aren't, everyone is in this sort of waiting mode. Yeah. And when, we have a part of our brain, our locus ceruleus, which is in charge, right, of uncertainty. That's literally the only thing this part of the brain does. It just watches for uncertainty. And that is how much our brains hate to be uncertain because, of our ancient hardwiring, and it makes us feel like we're in danger and we're going to die any minute. So we've been uncertainty now for months and months and months. And one of the biggest things I'm telling people is to stop waiting. You have to stop waiting. I noticed I was doing it for a while. I used to wake up at 4 a.m. every day and go to my gym. And I'd work out Monday through Friday, every day. 4:20 actually, because I thought it was kind of funny to wake up at that time. But anyway, and I would get up and I would work out and I would do my thing. And then the gym got closed, right? Because now we're not, everything's closed. And I kept waiting to work out. So I wasn't working out for such a long time because I kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And meanwhile, that's, you can't do it. So and people are kind of waiting, my kids are home right now at school, and
how strange.
We're waiting on things. We're waiting for things to get better. And it's really wearing on us. So one of the things that I'm really trying to work with people on is not waiting. You got it. The biggest way to feel depressed or anxious is to feel like you're helpless and hopeless and you have no control.
Yeah, got
so
it.
You have to start taking action and you have to start acting as if. So the first thing I would say to everybody listening is to stop waiting. Start acting as if. If you have to change it later, once this pandemic ends or once, all of this shifts, you'll change it later. But for now, you've got to start making, if your gym is still closed, figure out something else and make that your thing. Even if it means investing some money at home, even if it, I wasn't doing that. I was like, I don't want to invest money because then the gym will come back up. It's like I invested some money,
Yeah.
Right. But you know what? Sell it later.
Sell it later. You always have these good answers. Once again, I love that about you. It's so funny. I was having a really wonderful conversation with my son, who was ranked #1 in the world as a powerlifter some years ago, and my daughter, who's a multi-time world champion. And so we're having this conversation. It kind of goes like this: Dad, are you doing any working out? I said, well, yeah, sort of. Dad, you're either working out or you're not working out. Are you working out? Yeah. I guess you could say I can. I'm kind of doing air squats and lunges and a lot of push-ups. A lot of push-ups? Really? What is a lot of push-ups? Well, I've worked up to about 1,200. 1,200 push-ups? Where are you doing that? Oh, in the basement. I get the TV on and watch a good movie, and I do push-ups for 90 minutes to 2 hours. Oh, how are you guys doing? Are you working out? Well, sort of. Wait a minute, I thought you corrected me on the sort of. Yeah, I say sort of because it's really doesn't land well to sweat for us in our living room, Dad. We live in small houses. So you're working out, sweating, watching a movie in your living room, and that seems what? Inappropriate? Yeah, kind of, Dad. So we're not in very good shape either, in other words. So you're right. And it's so funny because not to be the bearer of bad news, but I did a show with a group this weekend, and we were talking about, we were studying with a gentleman who has an advanced degree in toxicology, Abby. And I said, so how long do most of these pandemics last? And he said, Nelson, I don't like saying this, but they're usually about 2 to 5 years. I said, seriously? Yeah. 2 to 5 years? Yeah. I don't know. You don't have to go public with that. I think the world is troubled enough. But yeah, they're usually around for 2 to 5 years. So I love your advice, Abby, because you're right. So even if you did buy that gear, you could have it for at least 2 to 5 years and get some good use out of it.
Yeah, it's really starting to just be, more importantly, it's about taking action and making a plan and getting that part of the brain turned off and calmed down. Because once our locus coeruleus is activated, it's also the part of our brain our fight, flight, freeze part, our amygdala starts to light up. Our sympathetic nervous system is lit up. And this causes all kinds of stress, and not just stress, but physical deterioration of the body. So we really, really, really have to stop and take a moment and go, what can I do? What can I create where there's certainty, where I know? A lot of people have, sort of makeshift things set up for their kids to work at home. It's like, get out of the makeshift. Your kids might go back in January and they really might not. So let's just put it into place. Here we go. Like, this is invest in the desk and do whatever. Again, you can get rid of it later. Right. But for now, people will spend money on therapy, but they won't spend money to buy a desk. It's like, buy the desk.
Right. That's great.
That stuff will keep you out of my office quicker than anything else. So Abby, really start to look at your life right now and think about what is not planned or what's waiting. Right. And start to really make a plan.
Abby, I was shocked with how many people finally said, Nelson, I've been in self-quarantine for 7 months or for 8 months, and I'm broken. And I thought to myself, how can you be broken? You haven't done anything. But it was crazy, Abby. People would come in and go, Nelson, my right big toe is killing me. Something's going on with my left knee, my lower left back, and my shoulders, and my neck, and something's wrong with my wrist. What were you out playing football? No, I haven't actually done anything. And you know what I mean? It's so strange. Yeah. People just come unglued.
We're meant to be in movement, right? We're meant to move. Exactly. I finally invested in a standing desk, which I'm not standing right this minute, but I invested in a standing desk so I can sit and stand in between clients. It's a big investment, and it is. But it was very worth it. And actually, this is something I'll take with me going into the next part of my, whatever's after the pandemic. Right. It's healthier to be standing and sitting. So I thought, well, this is a good thing, to a new habit. Some of these things, depending on how you look at it, can be healthier, can help us be healthier, not just all bad.
No, you're right. I love it. And, you said something just now, and we've got about a minute before our first commercial. I love that because there's this notion of adaptability. Life will always bring you things to adapt to and to change. And the people who do the best are people who can most effectively adapt to whatever changes are at hand. Abby, we got to take our first commercial break.
Yep.
Folks, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to another edition of Health Matters. My guest is Dr. Abby Medcalf. We're talking about ways to make you more effective in your ability to relate and communicate with others. We'll be right back.
If this content resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel at uimedianetwork.org to stay updated with our uncensored shows. Also, like and follow us at UI Media Network on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and almost all your favorite podcasting platforms. Most importantly, if you're being censored on social media, write to us at contact@uimedianetwork.org to get your message out. And remember, keep raising that frequency.
Hey, everybody. Dr. Nelson Bulmash. I'm back. Don't forget to tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Frequency Wars, where we hear about things they will not tell you in mainstream media. All right. I'm back with Dr. Abby Medcalf. Abby, I want to create some scenarios for you because, once again, no pressure, but you just are so incredible with solutions to situations that break most people, quite frankly. And I'm going to give you one right now, and I know you're going to knock the ball out of the park. So what do you do? How do you navigate these situations where suddenly you're in a room and people start talking about politics? And I'm not really a guy, I don't really like to talk politics unless it's really close friends, family members that I know I can trust that don't come unglued on me. What do you do if suddenly people start to ask you questions and you don't know if you can trust them or not? You don't really feel comfortable, but they're pushing you in public situations to ask you questions about, do you support this candidate, that candidate? How do you handle those situations gracefully? Note the word gracefully.
So first things first is I would likely ask back why they're asking, like, why is this important right now? I would be looking at their emotion and their tone around it. Are they really amped up talking about it? I don't want to talk with amped up people.
Right.
So I would just say that. I would name it and just say, what are you looking for from me? It seems like you're really amped up about this. How are you feeling? How are you dealing with this? When you turn things around for people like to talk.
Yes.
So if you just ask a question instead, it's the easiest things to do.
To diffuse it.
And often I'll say, I'm happy to talk about this, but first let me just ask, you seem really amped up when you're talking about this. Are you okay? What's going on? And they will start talking and you'll never have to answer the question. It is the easiest, simplest thing to do. It is not, we can't change people's minds, right? It's not going to happen.
Yes.
Unless you're with like-minded people, there's not much to debate in those kind of situations. So, and for me, I just find myself feeling exhausted and worn down by that. So I tell people all the time, you want to be the dominant vibration in the room, that positive energy. What happens is we end up letting other people's energy dominate us.
Right.
And we need to be that first thing. So when you feel that coming at you, that vibration, right, that sort of lower vibrational energy of anxiety, of worry, of even defensiveness or fighting or argumentative, you don't want to get caught up in that and meet them there. So if you answer the question directly, you're just meeting them there.
Got it.
Now, if someone's asking in another way, there's other conversations to be had. But generally, when people are trying to pull me into a conversation, I find that they're usually in one of those lower vibrational states, and I don't want to meet them there. So I want to bring them somewhere else. And when we talk about our true feelings, well, I feel so out of control with the election and what's happening. And, I'm so anxious about how people are voting and That's a different conversation, because then you can have a conversation about, well, how do you feel control? Like, what I personally have been registering voters for a long time. And that's something that I personally do when I was feeling very out of control. So I took action. Like, what's one thing I can do? What's one thing I can commit to? It's whatever it is for you or the other person. But when you start asking those questions, you can actually help them get to something where they don't feel so out of control.
I love that.
Right? Where they don't feel so
This is so
crazy.
neat. I feel better having asked you the question. But I knew you were going to give me a great answer, but as I was asking it, there are a few things that have occurred, like I would have been out in public places where people assume that I agree as they do politically. And I'm somebody that likes to weigh in on every issue as a unique questioner, as a unique issue, and not necessarily go party lines. So when somebody asks me and they expect me to be somebody who answers things consistent with a particular party line, I'm not that guy that falls into that place. So that's fantastic information. Now, I'm going to throw you a little bit of an interesting curveball because the holidays are coming up, Abby. So what do you do? And I can't tell you how many of my friends have said this is really awkward, Nelson, because the holidays are getting ready to start. We have elections, and some of my family members are going to be happy if this person's elected. Some of my family members are going to be happy if this one is, but I'm really, really nervous. We're going home for the holidays, and half the people believe this, and half believe this. How do you handle it? You're sitting there, for example, on Thanksgiving Day, and it never fails. You got that one person that has to bring up, I don't like how the election went. Abby, what do you think? And how do you handle that? You know, it's really interesting. Because Abby, you know, these are people who may have triggered you your whole life. Like Billy, I'm throwing cranberry sauce and potatoes at you if you don't shut up right now. How do you handle that, Abby? Somebody brings it up and you're trying to be peaceful and keep that regal look of yours without, you know, getting into a fisticuffs with words or otherwise.
Well, you got to start before you sit down. So like you just said, often we are triggered by family or people we've known a long time in different kinds of ways. So first things first is that before you go in, you know, to have that dinner,
right.
And this is true if it's via Zoom or if it's in person or what, but you want to set intention. You want to take a minute and get yourself centered. You want to set an intention. And you know, if you're with these people, it means on some level you love them.
Right.
Okay. If they're sitting in the room and it's Thanksgiving, these are people that mean a lot to you. So I'd like you to think of, and it's Thanksgiving for God's sake. So what about being of service? What about being thankful for them?
There you go.
So if someone is going to ask, so if I have that attitude walking in and now someone says to me, I'm really pissed about how that election goes and I would stop and hopefully and say, you know, okay, I hear what you're saying right now. What are you hoping to get out of this conversation right now? We're having dinner. You know, this is this energy right now. What do you want to have happen from that? What do you think the end game is going to be?
Beautiful.
Do you think we're all going to have a wonderful conversation and you're going to feel better? Are you looking to feel worse? Are you looking for misery loves company? Like, what are you looking for? And because again, I'm of service, right? So, and you know, I'm here for you. I keep thinking of, you were sharing before the show about some difficulty you had with someone who got really angry with you. And I realized that my first reaction was, and I don't know if you noticed, but I said, oh, that poor guy.
Yes.
For someone to lose their, you know what, for someone to just be so angry and so upset, I feel so sorry. Like, think of how out of control you feel, that you can't regulate your emotions, that you were screaming at your chiropractor or at the woman checking you out at the grocery store or at, you know, the TV, for God's sake. So it's like, I feel like my dad, for God's sakes. Okay. So, but you know, there's an energy that for me, I go, oh, this poor person, like they are so tormented, at the end of their rope. So for me to throw gasoline on the fire, or for me to get as angry as they are, again, to go to their vibration, I'm not having it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Got it.
So I want to bring people to mine. And this doesn't mean that we don't talk about things. This doesn't mean that it's all Pollyanna, life is perfect.
I get it.
This means that if it was helpful to sit and talk about how sucky the election was and how crappy I feel about it, I would talk about it. I don't think it's helpful. I think it puts people in a really bad state. If someone said to me, wow, I don't like how the election turned out and I really want it to be different next time, what can I do? I'm all about it. Let's talk about problem solving. Let's figure out what went wrong.
Right.
But to just sit and kind of talk, remember, once again, when we do that, I want to remind people, when you talk about something and you get into something that's called state, in other words, you actually start to feel that emotion. What happens is all of the same neurotransmitters fire, all the same hormones are released as if it was actually happening. So all you're doing is creating something in your brain, and everyone knows who's watching or listening right now that when you start talking about something bad, you start feeling bad. And so to sit and recreate that, you get more and more anxious, more and more angry, more and more defensive. Again, not helpful. If I thought it was helpful, I'd be right there with you. So how do you, and this happens a lot with my job as a psychologist when people come in the office, it's really good to talk about something once often to really just sort of vent and let that out. That's fine, right? We call that catharsis. But that's one time, maybe twice. If you're repeating it over and over and over, it's doing the opposite. It's actually recreating more and more of the bad feeling, and you're feeling worse and worse. And everybody knows that's the truth, because that's everyone listening is going, oh yeah, that's exactly what happens. So again, not helpful. So I have to do the same thing as a psychologist. If someone just came in week after week complaining about the same thing, I'm not sure what we're doing here. What's the point? So like, it's good to talk about things, really important, but at some point you have to take action. And I'm not really about sitting around complaining. So that's just not what I do. And so, I have a bunch of siblings. And so sometimes one will complain about the other,
yes.
to one of us. And I'll just say, well, that's him or that's her. We love him. We love her. Like, this is just who they are in the world, And then my sibling, whoever's talking to me, always says the same thing. Like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Calms people down to not feel like it's okay again to vent a little, but then let's find the love.
Yeah.
Let's find the coming together part.
Well, I love your responses because you always end up in a place of higher vibration, higher understanding, higher processing. And when you have access to that, you have a better quality life. Yeah.
Without a doubt. And so, but again, planning your feelings, I need to say this. So people plan everything. They'll plan their budgets, they'll plan their schedules, they'll plan events. But for some reason, people won't plan their feelings. And there is nothing more important than your feelings.
Wow.
Nothing. Yeah. Zero. So to set intention, to think about how you want to feel before you walk into a room, to plan it, is the most important thing you can do. Because, and people have had this, you could plan, your wedding day, you could plan the most perfect day and it could go off without a hitch. But if you don't feel good, if you're having negative thoughts about the day, what are people thinking? Right? Did Aunt Marge like it? I don't know about this. It's not a good day.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how well you plan the things, you need to plan your feelings. So if people take nothing else from today, I want them to take that. Start planning your feelings. Think about how you want to feel.
Love it.
And use that as your true north. That's the place you're going.
Beautiful. Such great advice. I want to share this with you. And then in about 2 minutes, we got to take a quick break. I got to be the officiant who married my daughter and her incredible husband this summer, June 12th. And Abby, the weather was pretty rough. They got married in a beautiful park in Savannah called Wormslow. I don't know if you've ever been there. Have you ever been to Wormslow? Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
No.
If you ever go to Savannah, please go to Wormslow Park. And you'll know why as soon as you enter it. You enter this park, and it's about 1.5 miles long. And it has, I could be wrong. If somebody knows, then put it on Facebook, and I'll correct it. I think they're these massive oak trees, and they have the beautiful Spanish moss draping down over the road. And so we're going down, and Abby, it's raining reasonably hard. And my daughter's going to get married, and she's gorgeous. I don't know if you've seen her maybe you've seen some of the pictures. If you haven't, go to my...
I have.
Yeah. I mean, she's just absolutely, she's exquisitely beautiful. And I'm sitting there, Abby, it's raining, and near the end of the wedding so hard that I have to gently, shake my glasses. I can't even read the script that I'm going from to marry them. And everybody was so beautiful because I said to my daughter, sweetheart, I'm going to marry you. Don't get upset, but I have a question for you. If the weather gets a little too intense, are you okay if I marry you at the house? And she said, Dad, there is no weather on this day that will be too intense. You know who I am. You know who my husband is. If anybody needs to stay at the house, they can. We're getting married at Wormslow Park. Okay. So near the end of it, it's pouring. And I'm standing there, water's dripping from my head onto the script. It's soaked. I have to shake it. And yet, Abby, what's interesting was it was so beautiful. The frogs were happy and chirping. The crickets were chirping. The birds were chirping. And I just paused and I said, you know what? I'm just going to embrace this. I'm going to embrace it. So I got home after some hours, and I'm looking at my daughter. She's got sand from, in Savannah, in these parks, it's very sandy. So she's up, her whole train is black with sand and dirt, and she's dripping water. And I said, sweetheart. And she interrupted me and she said, Dad, you were amazing. And everything was beautiful and perfect. All right, Abby, with that thought, I'll be right back. Folks, we got to take another commercial break. I'm Dr. Nelson. You're listening to Health Matters. My guest is Abby Medcalf, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Greta Full, president of Golden Home Services, a premier private home care service for seniors in Georgia for almost 2 decades now. We all have parents, and I know I love my parents more than anything else in this world. And because of that, Golden Home Services makes sure we care for your parents as if they were our parents. Call 678-242-0084 anytime, or visit goldenhomeservices.com to select from our range of affordable home care services.
All right, folks, I'm back. Boy, these shows go so fast. Before we get started, I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to build the life of your dreams? Join master coach and author Jessica Joins, host of Soul Purpose, to get your most important soul purpose questions answered. Simply write to her at contact@uimedianetwork.org to tell her what you're struggling with, and you might get a chance to be featured on her Jessica Show Live. All right, Abby, wasn't that beautiful, what I left you with? I mean,
yes.
You know, and if you know anything about my daughter, she's one of those people that, you know, I think God maybe struggled a little bit. Like, I don't know if I want to make her more beautiful, more brilliant, or more athletic. And she's that, I mean, you know, three-time world champion, many world records, gorgeous. And, you know, had it not been for COVID, I think she would have finished her Ph.D. in cellular and molecular biology probably by the time she was 26, maybe 27. Finished college in a year and a half. I mean, you know what I mean? That kind of person. Like, so beautiful, everybody was like, no, I'm not asking her out. And not only is she, like, so beautiful, she's scary from that perspective, but she benches more than me. She squats more than me. She deadlifts more than me. So, you know, she ended up finding the perfect person. I remember having this conversation with her. She said, Daddy, I'm really afraid I won't find anybody. I said, and listen to me, here's what's crazy. I had this conversation with her when she was 4 years old. I was working upstairs late one night, and all of a sudden she quietly came in like a little mouse. I just felt somebody was watching me. I mean, I turned over my shoulder, and she said, Daddy. I said, Sweetie, what are you doing up? She said, I couldn't sleep. I said, what's going on? She said, I'm stressed about something. I said, sweetheart, you're 4 years old. What are you stressed about? And she said, I'm afraid I'll never have as many friends as you. I said, you're thinking about having as many friends as I am at 4? Daddy, everywhere we go, people love you. They hug you and they cry around you, and nobody does that around me. And I said, sweetie, the only reason they do that around me is because I kept people out of bad situations where they have bad injuries or bad illnesses, and I support them in getting healthier, and we've been very fortunate and blessed that happens in many cases. I don't know if I can do that. I said, you don't have to, honey. You can live your own life. And so I said to her, listen, you're an incredible little girl, and you're going to grow up to be an amazing woman, and I'm always going to be here for you. Do you understand that? Do you know that? She said, I know, Daddy. You're always here for me. That's why I'm talking to you. And I said, sweetheart, I promise you, the right people are going to come your way. Well, she struggled through high school. She didn't really have many people who wanted to date her. She was really considered a bit of an outcast. And I said, trust me, please, sweetheart, just trust me. One day, Abby, I walked into a gym loaded with the best of the best, not only in the state of Georgia, but in the nation and the world. There were so many national world champions there that it was a little intimidating. And they were very excited to have my daughter because she's just a little wee 5'3" woman who, you know, squats and deadlifts at the time over 400 pounds, which was pound for pound really scary to them because they got like, oh my God, 120-some pounds. She's squatting and deadlifting 400 pounds. So when she got married, I made an introduction. I said, look around, sweetheart. I promised you when you were 4 years old that you'd have the right people and that you would find the perfect person. Look in front of you. That's what I promised you. Now look out at the audience. That's what I promised you. Know from this day forth, as you get married on this day, that I promised you this, and it came true. And now I want you to live from that all things are possible from that perspective. Isn't that awesome?
That's great.
And so anyhow, it changed her life, and she's created a relatedness that really supports who she is and what she's up to. She has a man that's really effective in helping keep her more calm and moving forward through life. Abby, what do you do if you're at home like right now? And I set that up to lead you into this. I've spoken to a lot of my police officer friends lately, and you know where I'm going with this. I said, guys, you doing okay? And they said, yeah, we're doing okay. I said, what's with the tone, guys? They said, you know what our number one problem is? No, I don't. Tell me, share. They said husbands beating up wives, wives beating up husbands, and children fighting with their parents. I said, oh, God, guys, I'm sorry. Abby, how do we handle this? How do we get insight so we don't beat up each other when we're quarantined?
Oh, I can't speak to domestic violence. That's a very different topic and not something I'm a specialist in. So I'm going to leave that. Right. That's a whole show in and of itself, and it's really not. That's about violence. That's not about communication skills or anything. It's about boundaries and all kinds of other things. As far as couples just arguing more or children arguing more or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I could certainly speak to that.
Let's do that.
You know, I think that we're all sort of getting on our nerves more. And again, that sort of constant proximity, people are, you know, just not used to being around each other so much and not having the relief that we would normally have of going out to the gym or to see our friends or to, you know, all the things that we do to sort of alleviate all the togetherness.
Yes.
And when you think about it, it's really been, I hadn't thought of this, but it's been like an 8-month-long Thanksgiving dinner, right? I mean, because that's what happens at Thanksgiving is that you're spending so much time together over that holiday and you normally don't. That it's creating all this tension. And I think that's what's happened in families, right? We're spending all this time together that we normally don't. And it's creating all this tension. So, you know, the number one thing always is you got to take care of yourself first. You know, you can't, you know, proverbially fill a glass from an empty pitcher kind of thing. And so what I've noticed is that people are not spending enough time or any time on themselves. And I don't want to throw around the self-care thing. Like, yeah, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there, you know, eat well, exercise, blah, blah, you know, I get it. But this other piece that I've been talking about planning your feelings and really, if you wake up and your first thought is, oh, I didn't get enough sleep, I'm exhausted, oh, I got to take care of the kid, oh, I got to do this, oh, I got to do that, you're not going to have a good day.
No,
I don't know what to tell you. You know, you can't have a great day from that. And if you're expecting, if the narration in your head is, this is everyone's gonna bug me today, this is gonna suck, this is gonna this is gonna that, then of course that's what's gonna happen because that's what you're gearing up to happen.
Exactly.
So instead, I need you again to plan those feelings, to be setting intention. I call it, you know, intention, like chunking. That's how I sort of talk about it.
Got it.
That you sort of, you know, my intentions when I'm, you know, making dinner for my, you know, breakfast for the kids is different than my intentions when I'm driving to work or when I'm sitting on the show with you. And I think I said to you before we started, my intentions today were to really be of service, to bring a lot of energy and to make sure that people felt hope, you know, and really like they had actionable tools when they left. So that's what I'm directed to this whole conversation. And I don't have to think about it a lot because my brain is helping direct me there, once you put something in there, that's what happens. I think I talked on the show last time about your reticular activating system, right? Your RAS, which is this filter, right, between your conscious and your subconscious mind. So when you consciously think something, your RAS sends it as an order to your subconscious to look for that thing. So if I consciously think I want to be of service, I want to have a lot of energy, I want to whatever, then that my subconscious starts to look for that to make sure that I'm in line with that. What's really important about your RAS is that it'll filter out anything that doesn't match this thing that you're looking for. So that's really important too. So if I'm going into, let's say, a Zoom call, like a meeting, like so many people are doing right now, if I go in thinking this is going to be boring or Bob from accounting is going to talk too much or, you know, whatever, instead, again, plan those feelings and set that intention of, you know, program that RAS, right? I'm going to be the dominant vibration in the meeting. I'm going to bring everyone. It's my intention that we're all going to have an amazing meeting. We're going to listen to each other really well. People have my best interests at heart. I have their best interests at heart. We're going to come to great mutually satisfying conclusions and ideas. We're going to be so creative. We're going to really, when you bring that in, that's what you'll see and that's what you'll create.
I love that.
And it'll filter out the crappy stuff. You won't even notice Bob from accounting chatting too much. You won't even notice, you know, these other things because you'll be focused on where you want to be. But you'll also be bringing in people again towards your vibration instead of you leaning towards theirs.
Their vibration.
And so you're really directing. I'd like everyone really to leave today remembering that they can be a leader in their part of the world, in their family, in their meetings, in their with their friendships.
Right.
You can be a leader. And so think of that. What do I want to lead with? And I don't mean I don't mean being bossy and controlling,
right.
although we all know I love that. But I do mean leading with that energy.
Yeah,
what am I bringing in?
Yes.
To every situation. And that's where you've got to be, and that's all the fights are happening and all that, all this. Again, it's a hard position we're all in.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to reach hard
right.
for this other way of being. And that means you have to be thoughtful about it. It's not just going to happen magically.
Yeah.
You're going to need to do a little work. And the work, to me, it's the easiest work in the world, is again, to be sort of calibrating your own vibration to this positive state over and over and over. And again, not Pollyanna, not everything's perfect, but to just that higher vibrational state of, compassion,
right.
kindness, gentleness, wherever appreciation, wherever you can be.
All things good that direct us
I hope
in that direction. Yeah, no. It makes a lot of sense.
That's my answer to that.
And I apologize. I wasn't trying to set you up in an area that you didn't have a specialization. But what was interesting is, in speaking to these cops, so to speak, is that they said, Nelson, what's crazy is these aren't people who historically have a history of violence. And a lot of it wasn't per se violence. It's just somebody in the family said, yeah, mom and dad are getting a little too intense. Can you come here and help us chill things out a bit, right? So I didn't even necessarily mean people that were, beating each other up, but people that were, Abby, they were just so stressed that they were kind of so on the edge that there was starting to be a lot of breakdown. And it's funny because I plan, I'm a guy, I wake up like this every day. And that's really annoying if you don't wake up happy and joyful and loaded for the day like I do. I'm that guy that, I'm like, the Flintstones getting their car going. My legs are spinning and then I hit the ground, right? And it's so funny because my wife and my daughter, my younger daughter, are not that. My daughter just says, Dad, stop. No. Please, Dad, slow down. Easy. Calm down a little bit. Let me have a little time.
Well, and I think that's the thing. It's everyone, when you wake up, you have the chance for a new day, right?
Right.
I talk a lot about momentum. You want to be, if a car starts rolling down a hill, you don't want to try to stop it at the bottom. You're going to get flattened.
Yeah, no. Right.
And you want to stop it as close to the top as possible. And that's when you wake up in the morning. And what happens is people often allow their minds, their brains, to just do whatever they want all day. They think every negative thought, they stress, they worry, the election, the this, the that. They're doing it. And then at like 4:00 in the afternoon, as they're ready to like have a drink or do something else, they're thinking, oh, I got to think better. I got to, be more positive.
Right.
And it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late, people. You have to start earlier. The best thing you could do at 4:00 in the afternoon, frankly, is take a nap, is like just reset that time. Right. So our sex is always good. Anything that's going to reset that energy, because you can't just suddenly start thinking positive. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You really have to start with this better, and I say a lot, people are not motivated. People aren't happy. I'm not motivated. I'm not happy. Those things are states, not traits.
Oh, I
motivation
love that.
is a state of being, and it changes from minute to minute. I might be very motivated when I wake up to eat perfectly, and at 2:00 I might be very motivated for an Oreo, right? Like it's not.
I'm laughing because I've seen your ice cream photos.
Yeah, I mean, I like my ice cream a lot, as everyone knows. So, it's like you can't because I hear people cop out with this. That's why I'm saying it. So I love that you have this energy all the time, but a lot of us don't, and I have to work at mine. I don't wake up happy. I consciously make my day happy. I do everything. I practice what I preach. That's why I have the energy I have. That's why I feel the way I do. And I have sad moments, of course, and I'm angry or I'm upset.
Right.
We're all human. But it really, when you think about that, don't cop out and think, well, that's good for Nelson because he's all motivated. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you work. We all work on these things.
Right.
And over time, when you do enough of that, when you exercise that muscle over and over, it gets bigger. Yeah. When you deal. But I want to be clear, muscles don't get big just because you do a rep.
Right.
Muscles get big. If I took a 1 pound weight over and over and did this, nothing would happen.
Yeah.
The reason you get bigger and you increase the weight is the resistance.
Exactly.
You are pushing against resistance. Yep. And that, my friends, is the answer.
Yeah. Abby, we'll be right
I'm
back.
not just happy all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Forgive me. I'm so sorry. Guys, we're going to take a commercial
break.
Break. It's okay. Thank you, Abby. My apologies. We'll be right back, folks.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. Most of us never think we'll get divorced. Unfortunately, half of marriages will end in divorce. Children are always the first priority, but getting your finances in order will need to be addressed. The first step is to get an assessment of where you are financially. Will you keep your home? Do one or both of you have a 401k or pension? Who will pay for the kids' college education? Will you split your debt liabilities? These are just a few things to consider when thinking about divorce. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com and download our free ebook titled 6 Things to Do Before You Get Divorced. Don't wait. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com today.
All right, folks, we're back for the last segment of my show, Health Matters. My guest is Abby Medcalf. Abby, I want to talk about that. You brought up something that's really important. A lot of people don't know this about me. I mean, you know, since I'm not a kid anymore, a lot of people don't know that when I was a child, I was really, really shy, introverted, and was not really ever happy unless I was in nature. Right? You're happy in the city. I was that kid. If I wasn't out catching snakes, frogs, turtles, salamanders, you know, seeing bears or eagles or owls or things like that, that made me happy. But really not a lot else did until I discovered working out. And then I realized it could control things like my hormone levels, my endorphins and so forth. And suddenly I realized, wow, I can change the way I feel. And you really said something that I want everybody to hear, which is when I realized that there were things I could do to control my state, I started, even as a little kid, like I worked out sometimes too much, like many hours in a day, because I knew that as long as I was working out, I felt amazing. And so it gained me momentum. And the momentum, you know, done daily. And I'm just like you. I mean, I told you before the show, I recently had some friends die to me, and they were really important to me. So I'm having to generate myself, even doing the show, because, you know, in the back of my mind, you have that concern, that consideration, you know, when's the funeral going to be? Is the mother or the children going to be okay? What do I need to do to help them, right? And so that kind of lingers. But the momentum of doing things consistently day in and day out helps keep the momentum that allows you to be programmed to be happy. And I've done that for so many years that I am that weird guy, according to all my friends who, you know, Nelson, I never imagined that I'd go with you, and here we are in the hotel, and you're waking up with a big smile on your face, and I just want to look at you and say, go work out. I need space. I need time. So anyhow, I get it completely, and I've worked, you know, a long time on it, and I get that not everybody has. But I will say this, that if you make it a part of your life where you say, you know, controlling my state is so important that I'm going to learn the things that allow me to have it show up in my life more frequently than not. Comments?
Yeah. And again, a lot of people aren't into working out, and, you know, so that's fine. I hate working out. I'm not going to lie. I'm not you. I don't like it. I used to join gyms, and I'd be swimming in the pool going, this is costing me $400 because I come twice a year and I pay that damn fee and I'm never here. And so, you know, that was me for years and years and years, in and out, in and out, in and out. And my man loves to work out. He says things like, do I get to go work out? Like he does Spartan races. He loves it all. He can't wait. He's like you. He's right. Very into it. God bless you all. I'm not that gal. So for me, and for a lot of us, you know, I work out because it's a good thing to do. But, you know, for me, I think that's why I found mental health as a first thing, because I didn't use the gym and other things to feel better about myself, you know, or to feel better in general, to change that physical state. But I want to be clear. When you change how you think, we feel the way we think. So when you start to change what you think about, you absolutely change all the feelings you have.
Right.
And that changes your chemistry. that will change your chemistry. So, and it starts to change your neural pathways and the way that your brain works. You can literally, we call it neuroplasticity, the way the brain changes given experiences.
Fires and wires.
And so when you think things, so when you think things over and over, and by the way, that's what a belief is. It's just a thought you've had over and over. So as you have new things that you think about, and you think about them over and over, you can start to change your state and how you feel and that changes your energy level. Yeah. Let's face it. When you're in a higher vibrational state, you feel more, and you then, and only then, maybe you'd want to go for a walk. Maybe you'd want to go outside and do something. Maybe you'd want to meet your friend at the gym. That's where that happens from. If you are just depressed and laying on the couch and people are like, let's go work out, let's go for a walk, let's go. You're just like, forget it, get away from me. I don't want to deal with you.
Right.
And you get further and further away. So start where you can start. If you're not somebody who's really good at the physical, and that hasn't been the way that you've connected with yourself or changed your state before, then start with your mental. You can lay on the couch and do what I'm talking about. Isn't that great? So you can start wherever literally you are, and start to just shift what you think about. Just for a moment, think to yourself, I call it, it's called like calibrating, and where you just start to think about, do I want to be sad or I want to be happy? Well, I want to be happy. Do I want to be, anxious, or I want to be calm? I want to be calm. Don't want, and when you do that and start to think happy, calm, appreciative, loving, open, mindful, just as you say it, you get in a better mood.
You're
right.
And
this is one of the ways to start to raise your vibration a little bit. And it's so simple to do. And again, you can do it. You can do it with that martini in your hand. You can do it any way that you're doing things. And it just starts to make that small shift. People try to make large shifts. They try to take huge jumps.
Yeah.
They do it with working out. I've had so many clients say to me, I'm going to join a gym. And I say, no, you can't join a gym. And they're like, what do you mean I can't join a gym? I'm like, I said, if you can walk every night after dinner for 20 minutes for 3 weeks, I will let you join a gym.
I love it.
Otherwise, you're going to join the gym like I did for years and years and years. You're not going to go, or you're going to get there and be intimidated, or what do I do at the gym? I'm like, if you tell me I'm going to join the gym and go to a Zumba class 3 times. Do they have those anymore? 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 o'clock, I will feel differently about you saying yes to that. But this idea of it's like, do that small thing first. Do one small thing first. Don't jump all the way into the boot camp. Just take a walk after dinner for 10 minutes. Start there.
I do the same thing with my patients. They'll say, I know you want me, Dr. Nelson, to work out, don't you? Yes, I do. I hate working out, Nelson. I like lying on the couch. I get it. Are you going to make me work out? Yes, I am. Them. I know. But check it out, Abby, check it out. James, Mary, husband and wife in my office. Can you walk? Of course I can walk. Silly question. Well, I know you like to spend a lot of time on the couch or in your chair. So what's the point? The point is, if you can walk, I want you after dinner to go 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Can you do that? Fine. They look at each other. Fine, 5 minutes. Why 5 minutes? 5 minutes is nothing. Yeah, it is. Because it guarantees me, if you promise me that every single day this week you're going to walk for 5 minutes, it's a start.
Yeah.
And they come back the next week. Can you walk for 7 to 10 minutes? Abby, it's crazy the success I have, because all of a sudden people love to work out. Nelson, I want to do more. What can I do? I don't know. What can you do? What do you like to do?
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, next thing I know, do you like to dance? Do you like to swim? Do you like to lift weights? I've had people become like gym monsters. And they're like, now, their wife or their husband will come in. Now, so how did you get my wife to join a gym? And now it's like she expects me to keep up with her, man. You've created a problem for me. Really? What kind of problem? I don't have the energy to keep up with her, if you know what I'm saying. And yes, I know what you're saying.
Great.
Get in shape. Abby, what I wanted to save a little bit of time.
So do it mentally.
Yeah. Oh, no, go ahead.
Save a little time. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what do you...
Well, I was just going to say, you want to mentally get into shape too.
Yes.
And so that is the way to mentally get into shape, to be planning your feelings, to be thinking about how you want to feel, and to really be going towards that. So there you go.
Perfect.
Now go.
Perfect. Abby, I wanted to give you a moment because there's so much going on. Is there anything that you wanted to address? Any particular topic that has been kind of something of fascination or interest to you in helping to contribute to people in this country currently? Anything that's like a hot topic for you that you're...
It's really been this. We've been talking a lot. There's two things. One is we keep talking about social distancing, and I hate that term.
I do
it's
too.
Physical
distancing. Thank you, Abby. Thank you.
It's not social.
Yes.
You should not be social distancing.
No,
you should be social connecting, loving,
yes,
and not distancing.
Physically distancing.
Right. So that I'd like you to start using that term wherever you go. When people say social distancing, when it's written on those big circles where you're standing at the supermarket, just ignore that and seriously think of physical distancing. Because I know it doesn't sound like much, but that is language is getting embedded in your head that you're supposed to stay away from people.
Right.
And I watch people now, and you said it in the beginning, like looking at each other and being sort of, fearful. Almost afraid of other people.
Yes.
And that's a scary time in our society when we're afraid of each other.
Right.
So start to really, and I know people can't see you behind your mask, but they can. So smile, nod, give a wave, do things to make sure that you're connecting and that you're physically apart. So that's my biggie for that. It's making me crazy that I'm in the business of, right now we've been talking about flattening the curve. And right now we need to flatten the mental health curve. That's the problem.
That's so
we have
beautiful.
flattened the curve. We've done it.
Yeah.
But the mental health curve is a mess.
It
and
is.
so I'm busier than I've ever been. And that's a scary thing to say.
Yeah, right.
So I don't want to be busier than I've ever been.
So
I really want people, and one of the problems is that physical versus social distancing. So start to physically distance and not social distance.
Thank you so much. I heard Dr. Amen say that, and I've been saying that from the beginning because your language creates your world. You don't want to talk about social distancing. This is why people, got it. Thank you. This is why so many people, and I've got to close on this, is that they're keeping so much distance because they hear social distance. I can't call my friends. I can't talk. The hardest thing for me was, you're going to laugh at me, completely fine. The hardest thing for me was not going to the gym. I talked to my friends every day. I was the guy that called everybody and said, Frank, how are you doing, buddy? Trey, what's up? So I made sure every day I called people to make sure we were connected so they didn't feel isolated, so they didn't feel alone. So, Abby, it's so fantastic it's always such a pleasure to have you on the show, and I hope you'll come one day again. Thank you. You were just fantastic. You just have such a way of reframing, reshaping, and giving us, your audience, the ability to understand how to create greater connection, which leads to greater communication, greater intimacy and understanding being in the world. You are the best. Can you hang on 1 second so I can say goodbye to you? All right.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Hey, folks, once again, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. We've just concluded another show. I'll be back in 2 weeks. And I know I'm getting more of you that are asking me about whether or not I'm going to go back eventually to one show. And I probably will. Maybe sometime next year, I'll start having a show a week. But as I stated earlier, you can go to my Facebook timeline where I post all the interviews and shows that I do, not only that are my own, but where I'm on other people's shows. So feel free to go to my timeline, follow me there. And I'm on all the other major social media platforms. Soon, we're going to be going on to Apple TV and Roku TV. That should be happening in the next weeks. I will see you here again in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, where we help you discover how to ignite your mind, body, and spirit connection. Join us next time when we will bring you more exciting guests and engaging topics. Meanwhile, feed your mind, exercise your body, and nurture your spirit. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.